You all know this. When New England had their 2 dynasties, it was great owner, great coach, great quarterback, great coordinators. Kansas City's got a great GM, a great owner, a great coach, and a great quarterback. Philadelphia, best GM in the sport, many believe. Great owner, top 10 quarterback. Rams, same thing, top to bottom. It's a combination of things. Cincinnati, you look at Cincinnati and you go, well, do we really like Zach Taylor? I'm not sure. It's just too lopsided an organization. It's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and everything else. Their de facto general manager is 90 years old, Mike Brown. They have the smallest personnel department in the NFL. That's why they don't take big risks like the Philadelphia Eagles, who are constantly trying to get slightly better. They don't do that. They beat down their culture. They beat down all their star players to squeeze every last ounce out. And I hear this, Colin, we made a Super Bowl. Oh, wake up. When you're not paying your rookie quarterback the big money yet, you don't have to be as buttoned up. Once you pay Jalen Hurts or Mahomes or Josh Allen or Matt Stafford, you got to be more buttoned up. It's all about the margins. So, I mean, the first 2 drives of the game, Washington had 160 yards running. Cincinnati's defense is atrocious. I think it's the worst in the league without Trey Hendrickson. Absolutely the pits. And yet, they're beating down Trey Hendrickson for every penny. He's easily their best defensive player. So, the way I look at, let's take the Baltimore Ravens in division with Cincinnati. The Baltimore Ravens are Disney. Theme parks, movies, tech, AI, valuation over $3 billion. Cincinnati is Six Flags, a step above the county fair. Yeah, Six Flags has roller coasters too, and so does Disney. And Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, you got the quarterback. But if you want to win Super Bowls, do you pay top money for coordinators? Do you have a big scouting department? Do you have one of the top GMs in the league? It's not, I mean, when did New England's dynasty die? When Belichick started taking over the draft. When they had Scott Pioli and Bill didn't have as much power and they had better rosters. Like even dynasties can die when they try to go cheap and one guy, the coach, gets too much money and has too much power. So I watch him, like Joe Burrow running around last night. Everybody's freaking out about that. But Joe Burrow, he needs live game action in the preseason because he has to carry this franchise. Lamar Jackson, they already had a great run game. Hey, we'll give you Derrick Henry. The Rams already have good running backs. We'll draft another. They're constantly upgrading. San Francisco, Denver was good last year, playoffs. They get Hufanga, Evan Ingram. Greenlaw, constantly upgrading because they have the richest owners, I think Denver does now in the NFL.
Yeah. It's interesting that this has been the main topic over the last couple of days. They talked about this on First Take, Get Up, Herd. I'm sure they would have talked about it on First Things First if they weren't off for the week on vacation. But the Bengals clearly don't do enough to support Joe Burrow. And the comeback that I always see to that is, well, Joe Burrow wanted them to pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And it's like, that's always the most ridiculous comment ever. Like that has stopped them over these last few years when they weren't paying Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to develop, to build out the O-line, to get a better run game, to actually have a great defense or just a competent defense. Like it just has nothing to do with anything. Like using Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, or also now using Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as a reference as to why Joe Burrow is so supported. The only people that believe that are extremely biased Mahomes fans and Lamar Jackson fans. They're the only ones that I really see them as loud as them trying to be like, Joe Burrow's got plenty. Oh, yeah, so give Lamar Jackson, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. If Patrick Mahomes had that, and it's just like, dude, like just stop. Okay, he's had Jamar Chase. That's really it. T. Higgins, as I've highlighted many times, doesn't stay healthy and didn't, especially last year, missed a third of the season, and he literally had the worst O-line in the NFL with the worst defense. And you think that's support? Like, it's crazy. And the Chiefs were able to build an elite defense without paying a ton of money. The Eagles were able to build an elite defense without building a ton of money, without paying a ton of money. The Broncos were, the Chargers were. Teams all over the NFL have figured out how to do that. They've all found out, or they've all figured out how to at least make their offensive line competent. Not the most porous O-line practically in NFL history, right? I mean, it's just like, what are we doing here? So it's just kind of it's just kind of absurd at this point. It really is. And the only and again, in all the mainstream media, whether it's Dan Orlovsky, Ryan Clark, Colin Cowherd, no matter what it is, like everyone can see it as clear as day that the Cincinnati Bengals are 100% failing Joe Burrow. And as Ryan Clark put it, he said, Joe Burrow is one of the greatest quarterbacks of this era. And I agree. I think he's an all-time special quarterback. And yet it's just like he'll lose game where he's hanging 38 points or so and he's losing. Like, you are failing Joe Burrow. Like, that's indefensible. And that's why I just think when people bring up Jamar Chase or T. Higgins as like that somehow like, oh, as soon as we just say this, it's like, what are you gonna say now, huh? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. It's like, what are you saying right now? Like, what are you saying? Sure, we can take away T. Higgins. You got to give him at least Jamar Chase. Give him an O-line. Give him a semblance of a run game. And give him just even remotely a competent defense. This is why I'm always fighting, whether it's with Ravens fans or mainly it would be like Lamar fans or like or Mahomes fans, where they try to pretend that those quarterbacks have had similar situations as Joe Burrow, and they just haven't. They just haven't in the slightest bit. I mean, this has just been such a mess. And to say, well, at least we're not the Carolina Panthers or the Cleveland Browns, it's like, that's the standard. Like, that's the standard. And yeah, you made the Super Bowl because of Joe Burrow's greatness. The fact that the Cincinnati Bengals were able to even remotely contend for the playoffs last year with the most disastrous O-line and the most disastrous defense and a wide receiver 2 who only played a third of the season, a wide receiver 1 who played great, but, that's it. The fact that they were even remotely able to contend, and the fact that people even believe that if they did get it to the playoffs, that they actually could win some playoff games and they could actually be a threat, is 100% because of Joe Burrow. I am not confident that a single quarterback in the NFL would have been able to do what Joe Burrow did last year. You can make the argument that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, because of their physicality, that they would have been able to navigate some of the O-line issues successfully, but Joe Burrow's passing stats under pressure was just through the. I mean, it was majestic. I mean, when I looked at that, I was just like, this is unbelievable what this guy's had to deal with. Like, this is, and I can't recall seeing another quarterback do that. So, do I believe that a Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, they would have had to dealt with it a little bit of a different way? Sure, but this team needed just throw after throw after throw after throw, and under pressure. And Joe Burrow has clearly proven to be just in a class of his own right now with regards to that. And the reason why I didn't mention Patrick Mahomes is because we saw Patrick Mahomes under pressure in the Super Bowl, and it didn't look so good, And so it's just, yeah, I mean, I'm not putting Jalen Hurts on there. I'm not putting Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels. And it's not even to say that I think that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL either. It's just everything situational. And what Joe Burrow did last season was just, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. And he's clearly done, we had this conversation before, he's done the most with the least. But he hasn't succeeded the most with the least, if that makes sense. But wildly impressive what he's been able to do. But that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't win and you're on a team like the Bengals and you're Joe Burrow. This is what I always talk about, where it's just like, when we get to see quarterbacks, when we get to see who they are when your team is rough, you get to say, well, look, he played great even though it was a mess around him. That's awesome. Now we know how special of a quarterback he is. But then a Jalen Hurts, who has to do a lot less than a Joe Burrow, wins a Super Bowl. People say, yeah, but you did less. I want to see him do more with less. And it's like, well, You're not going to win a Super Bowl that way. Joe Burrow hasn't even won a Super Bowl that way. Neither has Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. None of these guys have. Patrick Mahomes, none of them. And so you get some respect and some admiration. I respect Josh Allen more because of what he's been able to do with the rosters he's been given. I respect Lamar Jackson, what he's been able to do, and even Patrick Mahomes and all that. And you can say, yeah, man, they've had to carry their weight a little bit more than some of these other quarterbacks, but it's just like, I mean, at the end of the day, how much does that matter? And it's like, I always kind of try to talk about, like, it depends what lens are you looking at the team through. Like, are you looking at it through the team lens, or are you looking at it through the quarterback lens? Because if you're trying to make the argument as to why Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback, Joe Burrow is the best quarterback, whatever it is, then yeah, having a couple years where your team is not good and seeing what that quarterback does and what he can do is successful for you. It's, you could say, look what my quarterback did under those conditions. Played out of his mind, blah, 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 blah. Didn't win a Super Bowl because no one can. But like, that's it. And so it's like, pick the argument that you want to have. Because you have Eagles fans and Jalen Hurts fans who are like, Jalen Hurts is great. And they're like, well, prove it. He's never had a bad team. This one, like, yeah, what about 21? And it's like, you got to fight over it. But at the end of the day, they get to be like, well, we won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is Super Bowl MVP. Rather have that problem, rather have to convince people how great our quarterback is and win a Super Bowl, rather than be whatever the heck Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are dealing with. So again, it's like looking at it through the quarterback lens or looking at it through the team lens. And I've been saying this, and I'm going to continue to hammer this home unless the Bengals change throughout this season. I mean, if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm just if this is a repeat of last year, I'm not playing anymore with the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm saying, get me out of here. I'm done. The Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford's probably going to retire over the next couple of years. I'm saying, McVay, you made magic. You did magic with Jared Goff and Stafford. You pulled that off. Come and get me, man. Come and get me. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Get me out of Cincinnati. I'm done. Get me out of here. And I would straight up go to the owners and just be like, please, because they got 2 first-round draft picks. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow's like, get me out of here, you can make the argument of like, just give him up. You're going to now get Joe Burrow in his prime. And the Bengals will get 2 first-round picks. They'll be able to draft their quarterback of the future and a piece. And I don't know, insert whatever you need, defensive player, lineman, whatever you seem fit. And there you go. I mean, that would actually be an unbelievable it would be an unbelievable trade. It would be a win-win for both teams, which it was with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford and that swap. I would just be like, that's what I want. And I would make it loud and clear. I don't care any other stuff that people will say. It's just like, that's what we're doing. Let's go. Where were they? Like in Mexico or something on vacation, and they were like, we're hanging out with their wives or whatever, and they're like, we should make a trade. Whatever the heck that story is. Find a way to make that happen. And then you finally get your coach. You finally get your franchise, and you can win. I know the Cincinnati Bengals fans don't want that, and I get that. I understand that. But be better. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And I feel bad. The more videos I make, the more fan bases that I talk to, the more these franchises and these fan bases get humanized. I'm like, man, it's got to be so rough to be a Cleveland Browns fan, a Carolina Panthers fan, a Cincinnati Bengals fan. It's just like, where's the optimism? Where's the hope? Where's the belief that your team is actually going to be competitive? And if they're not, within a couple of years, I have trust that so-and-so, or we're going to fix it in the draft, or, whatever it is. Like, where's the confidence? If Jalen Hurts falls off a cliff, Patrick Mahomes falls off a cliff, if, Matthew Stafford's retired, like, you have confidence, like, they'll find a way. They'll eventually get a good quarterback. They'll eventually draft, Sirianni ends up doing weird stuff and they have to let him go. They'll hire another successful coach. They'll get there. A.J. Brown is aging out. They'll get another receiver. Right, like the Christian McCaffrey's aging out. They'll get another running back. Like, you have faith that eventually those franchises will get it right. But like, you don't have that same level of confidence with a handful of franchises. And it's just like, I genuinely feel bad. You guys got to tell me, like, look, how do you manage it? How do you deal with it? I mean, you literally have what could be a quarterback who could legitimately be in the GOAT conversation. I've said that many times now. Many, many times. If Joe Burrow gets drafted to the Philadelphia Eagles the Kansas City Chiefs, the 49ers, or the Rams, he is in the legitimate GOAT conversation. No ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. And yet, here we are. A quarterback who can't even make it to the playoffs because you're an absolute disaster. Talk about an extreme swing. GOAT conversation, not even making the playoffs. GOAT conversation, not even making the playoffs. That's a disaster. That is an absolute disaster. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals? I mean, this question is like absurd. Are Bengals doing enough to support him? No. End video. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.